Hi, sharks. It's financial sharktress Galitza Deek. Happy Money Monday. Got a lot to talk about today. I was, I'm going to talk about conventions and whether you're going to a convention as attendee or you're going to have a booth at a convention. It is usually more expensive than you think it is going to be. So it can be a huge money pit. I want to tell you some things that you could do right and some pitfalls to kind of avoid. So first of all, I'll tell you why I'm talking about this. This weekend, my nonprofit, the Divers-ity Initiative, had a booth at a convention called Beneath the Sea. Now, that's a scuba diving convention. We are a underwater recreation nonprofit. Our mission is underwater for all by 2030. So that's 7 years to get our mission to fruition. We are working hard at it, and this was our way to, you know, talk to people, get our name out there. Our chairperson, Nicole Zellick, received an award, the Visionary Award, for her work on this. We made 3 presentations, so Nicole made 2. Nicole and I had a joint presentation together on the first day for the Marine Careers Day. It was so all in all, the convention for us was a success. Now, there are so many things that you don't think of when agreeing to go to a convention that I want you to take a second to think about. So, number 1, it is always more expensive than you think it's going to be. So we had a booth. Let me talk about having a booth first. So for a booth, it is not just the cost of the booth. Thankfully, as a nonprofit, and Beneath the Sea was so amazing to us. They really, really, really helped us out, knowing that we are a small grassroots nonprofit. We got the booth, and we were able to do it very low cost. Now, that is usually not the case. I have personally had booths at DragCon NYC, DragCon LA. You got to pay for your booth, but you don't just have to pay for your booth, right? You need to pay for electricity. You need to pay for internet. If you want things in the booth, you have to pay for those. Most things in a booth do not come standard. So let's take, for example, this convention. What came standard was 2 chairs. 2 chairs and just the the structure and a little sign that said our name. Now, that means that you have to arrange to have everything else at the booth. Now, there are companies that will do this for you, but remember that this is all union labor, and it is very expensive to use these companies. So the things that you absolutely need, so let's say another thing that you need when you go to a convention is usually, liability insurance. And you're going to probably need a fire extinguisher and a couple of other things. They'll tell you in the packet, but you don't get the packet right away. You get the packet when you pay, when you sign up and you pay for your initial fee, right? So it's kind of like you pay that initial fee and then you hope that the prices afterwards are within your price range. So always budget for more. Yeah. So a Facebook user said somehow we had 8 chairs though. Yeah, because the other booths around us, they brought their own stuff, and so we ended up with so many chairs because we had a ton of volunteers and it was perfect. And we actually had an awesome thing happen, which was the booth directly diagonal from us. They I guess they didn't show up or something happened to the people that were supposed to be in that booth, and so we had like this free empty space that we could put all the extra chairs into, and it kind of became like when we needed a break from the booth, we could go and sit there. Okay, so it's actually Nicole. Yay, Nicole Zellick, our chairperson, is on here to talk about it. So let me get back to the costs. Now, Nicole did something really, really smart, and she did something amazing, and she actually fundraised for us to be able to attend this convention. And had she not done that, as a small grassroots nonprofit that does not have a ton of money to be throwing around, we would have been in some serious trouble, right? Because I was coming from Arizona, I was bringing my photo booth. We needed to get a hotel because it was in New Jersey. There are so many things involved. So a budget is something that I want you to think about for every convention. Whether you're going as an attendee or you're having a booth, you need to think of a budget, and you need to think of it as soon as you can. Um, I was in Israel, and so we did not have a very solid budget. So that was one of the pitfalls that we fell into. And normally that's one of my very huge strong suits, right? But I had been in Israel the month prior and really did not have time to do it. So we had like kind of a last minute budget. And we knew that we had this money that Nicole fundraised, and so it would be okay. But it was very stressful. So that's one thing that you want to eliminate, right? You want to make sure that you go into it with a budget, knowing all of the things that you need, supplies, the cost of travel, the cost of parking, the cost of food, right? You have to get food, snacks at the convention. Generally, you don't want to have to buy food at the convention center. It's very expensive. A lot of times they will charge you a fee to use credit cards, so you want to have cash. And besides that, it's usually not very good. Um, so make sure that that's another thing that you think about when you're doing your budget, right? It's travels, it is supplies, it is the booth materials. So if you're and transporting them, right? So you can pay movers to do this, but again, union workers, very expensive. It is not a cheap thing to have a trade show booth or to have a booth at a convention. It's just not. If you're going to rent furniture from them, it is super expensive. So think about bringing the furniture yourself. Think about what you can have. We had a folding table. I own a photo booth, and I bought it specifically for conventions. It was one of the best purchases that I've made in my business, and I have been able to use it for so many things. And it's a really great hit, and it's a great way to get people to the booth, in the booth, because once they're there, you can talk to them about your mission. You can talk to them about whatever you need to be talking to them about. Another thing that I want you to do is get really intentional, and we did this pretty well. We knew what we wanted to accomplish with this. We had a couple of things that draw people in, and we knew what we wanted to talk about. We knew that this was important for us because we wanted to make the connections. We wanted to speak to the different nonprofits, to the different people that could possibly help us in our mission. And we were very clear what our mission was and what we wanted to accomplish. So even if your accomplish is sales, I want you to think about what kind of sales you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to accomplish sales in the booth at that moment, or are you trying to accomplish future sales? And you have to gear your booth accordingly. Now, another great thing that we had, so besides the photo booth, we had other big things to draw people in. So thanks to our volunteers. So shout out to all the volunteers that showed up. We had mermen, we had mermaids, and I'm talking like full tails here. We had a pirate, a lobster. I came in my shark gear. We had things to draw people in. We had the photo booth, and not only with the photo booth, we had like really, and this was a last minute item that Nicole and I we got at the last minute from Walmart. We had these amazing shark glasses, and they were one of the best things of the night, the best things of the weekend, because we literally had people coming from all over the convention to find the booth that had the paper shark glasses. And they were $2 at Walmart for a pack of 8. When I'm telling you, we bought the entire stock that that Walmart had. We bought the entire stock that Walmart had, and it was so perfect. I think this is Nicole saying that dressing lively is the best hack for conventions. It definitely is. You want to make sure that the people in the booth are high energy and they know what they're talking about. They know what the mission is. They know how to get the message across. And they have materials that help them do that. Another amazing thing that we did was QR codes. You have this ability for free to create QR codes that people can use their phone and scan and immediately get data and immediately get to where you want them. So we had that, and we had that in like these really cool booklets that we created. We just printed it out, we laminated it, and then I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like a file folder with hole punches at the top that opens up, and you can flip through it. So we had those at the booth, and those were really, really helpful for me when I was talking to the people. So the merman would bring the person in. I would immediately be able to give them a business card, talk to them about our mission, and get them hooked. From there, it was a very short trip to getting them to donate. Another awesome thing that we did was we had shirts available we had t-shirts made. We had like a snafu with the t-shirts, which, I mean, you just gotta roll with it, right? You gotta be adaptable and be able to change and adapt to the situation. But what we did was we had t-shirts. So anyone that donated over $20 got a t-shirt that said part of our mission. And so we were able to promote that as well and get higher donations. Not only were we, getting donations for being able to take a picture with our merman, with our mermaid, with our pirates, with the lobster, with the whole group, but we were also able to get higher donations because we had t-shirts to give if those higher donations were filled. So always think of a way that you can upsell, right? I guess that is really the lesson that I'm trying to teach in telling you this. We had opportunities for upsell in every facet of the booth. We had opportunities to bring the people in with the photo booth, bring the people in with our photo ops, and then tell them about our mission and have them help us spread our mission to everywhere else, to the rest of the booths in the convention, to the rest of the people walking around. Like it it was just such a smashing success, and we were able to point them. Another thing that lent credibility to us is that we were speakers, right? Nicole had 2 talks that she gave during the main part of the convention, and Nicole and I had one talk that we gave prior to the convention, to the Marine Careers Day part of it. So we were and then also Nicole was in the program. She had won the Visionary Award. They knew that we were serious about what we were doing, and we were there to make a difference. So that is, as the more that you can do to lend yourself as an expert, the better it's going to go at a convention as well. Now, another great thing is the volunteers. The number of volunteers that we had was amazing. Now, we could have staggered them a little better because at times the booth was very full. But what it also gave us the ability to do was leave the booth and go to the other booths and walk around and make the networking connections that we needed to make. So it's always better to have a little bit of extra people. That way you can make the connections that you need to make. Because if you are stuck inside your booth at all times, you are only speaking to the people that come to your booth. And they might be busy. They might be busy at their own booth. That connection that you need to make might be sitting and trying to make connections at their booth. So if you've got extra people, you always need like a very outgoing person to call people in. You need someone that is very knowledgeable and can talk about the mission or your company. And you need also people that are hype people, right? That are just there to help to funnel the people towards your mission and your booth. Another thing that you can do. So we set up, not only did we have Cashbox, but we also had ways to take payments electronically. Now, you don't have to have one of those like Square scanners or the card readers. Those are helpful, but they also cost money. And sometimes you have to pay additional fees, and they don't work with every system. You can actually, and I did this for our booth, we use Stripe to process our donations. Stripe scanners are a little bit different. You have to use third-party softwares in order to use them, and they're kind of expensive, and you have to like work it out in advance. We didn't have time for that, but I still wanted to make sure that we were able to take credit card donations. And I mean, I was very glad that I was able to do that, because I can't tell you, there were several people that came up to the booth and was like, I wish I could donate. I don't have any cash. And immediately when I said, I take credit card, they were like, okay, let's do this. So make sure that you have a way to take credit card. And if you don't have a card reader, you can still take credit cards. I was able to, and I didn't have to write I didn't have to write the entire card number. I didn't have to type it in. There's a function on your phone that you can use the camera to scan the card. And that eliminates a lot of the typing and lets you do it in a much faster time, because you want to make sure that you're pushing the person through the booth as fast as you can, right? You want to tell them enough, but you also have to keep yourself open to get the next person in and to tell that next person about your mission. So you want to keep it flowing. So the less time you spend on things that are not super important for your mission, the better. So, and thanks, Connie, for saying that you love the photo booth. That's another. Connie works with another nonprofit that I absolutely love, and I brought my photo booth to them as well. So the photo booth is genius. I love it. I use it for everything. I highly recommend it if you're doing trade shows or anything else where you might need or use one. Okay, so back to it. I was able to scan the cards, and even when I wasn't there, we were still able to take donations by using a QR code and having another booth member plug in the credit card information onto the phone, or having the person plug the information onto the phone. Once the donation went through, they could get their t-shirt, and people were happy. If you want to check out Nicole's acceptance speech, so she actually, if you're watching this on Facebook, she put the link for that in the comments. It's also available on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, or you are watching this, you're listening to this on any of the podcast outlets, like, it's available. It is out there. Look up Beneath the Sea, Nicole Zellick, Divers-ity Initiative. You'll find out a little bit about who we are. Divers-ity, Divers, DIVERS -ITY initiative.org is our website. So if you want to find out a little bit more about us and help us in our mission, that is amazing, and I would love for you to do that. Okay. Nicole wants me to tell about this one guy. I'm not sure who this guy is. So if Nicole, you know the story, give me another hint, and I will definitely tell the story. But I want to get back to the tips and the pitfalls. So make sure that you're budgeting. Another pitfall that we ran into is maybe overspending a little bit on things that we didn't necessarily need. One of those things was the internet. So we realized, so we thought we were going to need 2 devices connected to the internet. And these are kind of things you don't necessarily know unless you know the convention center, what your reception will be like inside the convention center. So we paid for 2 devices for 2 days, when actually we just needed the photo booth as the device, because we all had hotspots and had pretty good reception. And we didn't end up using the second Wi-Fi that we paid for. So these are like small things. We could have probably also gone with a lower electricity. Not 100% sure about that. So those kind of technical things are a little bit harder and need a little bit more research. So the farther in advance you can start planning for the booth, the better, because especially with things like electricity, You need to know how many things are going to be plugged in at a time, what kind of, voltage, amps, and things that are not exactly my zone of genius, and that we could have consulted with somebody first. So these are small things, but I know that our next appearance is going to be so much more successful because we know all of those things now, and we are going to give ourselves more time to plan. So that's if you're at a convention, at, you're a vendor at a convention. If you're going to a convention as an attendee, now a lot of these same things apply. Budget. Think about transportation. Think about where you're staying. Think about the cost of the ticket itself. Think about what is your budget for buying things there, right? Are you leaving yourself money for like the cool thing that you see that is only available there and it's on sale that you want to get? Make sure that you have spending money in a budget. Bring cash, because a lot of times there is an extra fee to pay with a credit card. And I mean, that is because credit cards charge vendors fees. So sometimes they need to pass that along in order to maintain their sale or maintain their profit margin. Another thing is think about food. If you are going to bring food, if you are allowed to bring food inside the convention center, a lot of times you are not. If not, have a plan. Like, are you going to leave the convention center and have it nearby? Are you going to bite the bullet and have food there? If so, what are the kind of things that they serve and can you have them? I remember one convention that I went to, I think it was in November. I'm vegan and I did not plan, I was an attendee. I did not necessarily plan and have stuff with me. And I ended up being only able to eat soggy broccoli. Like, that is the food option that they had for me as a vegan. So that was very lackluster kind of experience. And I definitely did not want to repeat it at this convention. What was amazing, another amazing thing that Nicole did was she brought these prepackaged meals. And I believe they were part of her meal delivery service, but they had a bunch of vegan ones. And even though I could not microwave the food at the convention center, and this is another big tip, is there was a hotel next to the convention center. That hotel was extremely nice. Not only did they have a color printer and printed for me things that we forgot to print and needed to print last minute, they did that, but I was also able to go in there and use their microwave. And they not only did they microwave my food, but they gave me cutlery to use. So that's another tip. Like, if there are hotels nearby, think about how you can utilize those, especially if you have a booth, because as a vendor, right? I needed to make sure that I was being fed the whole, that I had enough energy to keep up talking to people constantly. And that you just need to have enough water, and you need to have, for me, it's protein. You need to have like your protein and your water and your food, and make sure that you can sustain the level of energy that you need to sustain, because it is, and that's another thing that you need to know about conventions, whether you are a vendor or an attendee, it is a high energy, high social activity. You need to be at your 100, at your best at every given moment. So, got to make sure that you get enough sleep, you're drinking enough water, and you've got some food because you've got to keep your energy levels up. That's one of the compliments that I got during this convention. It was very funny. A guy from another booth came up to me at the end of one of the nights, and he was just like, I have seen you just running around and like killing it at this convention. And I just want to applaud you for the level of energy that you've been able to maintain. And I was super proud of myself because, especially if some of you have been following me for a while, I have POTS, which is a heart condition. And so I don't I'm not always able to maintain that level of energy, but I have been able to get myself to a point where I really know my triggers and I make sure that I have enough sleep and that I'm drinking enough water and that I'm taking care of my body and exercising and I'm healthy so that I can do these types of things with intention. So that I think that is my spiel for today. If you've got any questions, you want to tell me about a convention that you did, you want to tell me about your tips for doing a convention, anything I missed, like feel free to comment, share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. I would love to speak to you. I am Financial Sharktress or financial_sharktress on all the types of social media that you have. Like, share, subscribe if this is on YouTube, if you're watching this anywhere else. Thank you so much for supporting me and being part of my audience. If you want to find out more about the Divers-ity Initiative, our mission, want to donate, want a t-shirt, want this dope sweatshirt, reach out. Divers-ity Initiative.org. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you if you're watching this on Facebook, I will see you on Wednesday with a podcast guest. If you're on YouTube, go to the Galit Speaks YouTube and subscribe. I have a guest every Wednesday for my podcast. If not, I will see you next Monday for another episode of Money Monday, and we'll talk about something equally as amazing. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye, sharks.